So we have successfully imported our ozone data file into the toolbox, and now we are ready to import our PM 2.5 data into the toolbox. So outside of the toolbox, I already went through the process of making a copy of the PM 2.5 data file that I want to import and pasting it into the Tribal Data Toolbox version 3.0 folder on my hard drive. And I've already renamed it as newimport.txt. So I am ready to begin this import process since I have completed step A that's done outside of the toolbox. So I am going to go ahead and begin, and we do the same steps that we did for ozone. So we start with clicking on B, import text file. So I'll go ahead and click on that button. And again, I get the message that tells me that I need to save my file as newimport.txt, and it's got to be a comma delimited file. So I click OK. Uh-oh. So what's going on here? This was not the message box that I expected to receive about import successful. Oh no, something's gone wrong. So the first step when something goes wrong is to take a screen capture of the screen, because if you need to email it to your instructors, you definitely want to send a screen cap. It's a lot easier for us to deal with if we can see your screen instead of you telling us what's going wrong. So if you can just take a quick screen capture of this and save it, that will help us out enormously. So after I take a screen capture of this message box, I click OK, and then I get this scary looking macro box. Now, I'm also going to take a screen capture of this for my instructors to see in case they need to. But whenever you see this box that has something to do with macros, usually the best thing to do is to just click on the X button after you take a screen capture of it. So just close it by clicking on the X button. So the error that I got was cannot define the field more than once. And if you see that during an import, it usually means that you have duplicate column headers in the file you're trying to import. It could also mean that you have a blank column header in your file. But I'm going to take a look at my newimport.txt file and investigate this by looking at the column names to see if that happens to be the case in my file. So I'm going to go ahead and go into the Tribal Data Toolbox folder and open up my newimport.txt file and take a look at it. Okay, so I can see what's going wrong. So there's multiple columns named NOV, and that's why I'm getting this error message in the toolbox. However, I could have sworn I fixed this. So I think what I did was, instead of copying the data from the toolbox import files folder, I copied the file directly from my original files from the data logger folder. So I messed up. So I just need to get rid of this newimport.txt file and start from scratch. So I'm going to close this, and I'm going to delete the newimport.txt file. So I make sure that I'm selecting newimport.txt, and then I click on the delete button on my keyboard. And that sends the file to the recycle bin, which is what I want. And now I'm going to go back into my toolbox import files folder and get my correct manipulated site S98 PM2.5.txt file. Right click on it, select copy, close this, then go into my Tribal Data Toolbox folder, right click and select paste. Then I'm going to rename this, so I right click and rename, and I type in new import and press enter on my keyboard. Now I'm going back in the toolbox, and I'm going to try this import text file button again and see what happens. Okay, yeah, I know. I read this and click OK. Oh, hurrah! Look, import successful. So, okay, it was my error. I had just messed up and taken the wrong data file into the Tribal Data Toolbox folder. Easy fix, right? So I click OK. So the next step is to review the data in the temporary data import table. So I click on C, inspect data import table. So as I said with the ozone data, This looks very familiar because it looks exactly like my new import.txt file. I scroll through the data to make sure the import was successful and there's not any blank rows or any strange symbols. Yeah, it looks good. And then I note on the left-hand side of my screen that there's 334 records in the data import table. And I check my database logbook, and that is also the number of records that were in my text file. So that is correct because those two numbers match. So I'm going to go ahead and close this table by clicking on the lower X button. Now I can click on this button here, continue to transfer to verification table form to open the second form in the data series. And that closes this form and it gets me ready for importing my data from the data import table into the data verification table. So that opens up this form.